It's chilly winds out. It's becoming fall, so I decided to grab the men from up north responsible for it.
Yes, the men from up north. It's a special episode for me today. Not only do we have a gentleman running for county commissioner, he just happened to be my best friend since we were what, four,
Four-ish.
yeah, four-ish, 4 or 5. So, back in the civ, but it's been a while. So, welcome Todd to the podcast. Welcome to the tavern.
And he's also a 2x4 singer.
He is an avid 2x4 singer.
Usually starts the night with some Elvis. Gets the crowd.
Yeah, love the Elvis. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me down, guys. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Absolutely.
I wanted to start this off because anytime Wintersville is mentioned on this show, it normally goes to a gripe. It never have I heard you be like, they're doing this right, this right, this right. So I wanted to ask you guys is, two fellows who grew up with each other up from that area, off the top of your head, what would be like the biggest gripe if you're like looking back, growing up there and looking at its current state? What would be like, if I was in charge, this would be the first thing.
There's nothing to do.
Yeah.
Hey.
No, that's not just for Wintersville. That's everywhere anymore.
Yeah.
Kids, they took all the stuff. Ohio Valley Skateland. That was was every weekend, man. We were down there, and there's nothing anymore for kids to do. The parks are falling apart. Those guys, we had a really nice park down below us, and the basketball hoops are falling down.
Yeah,
stuff like that. There's nothing for kids anymore to do around here.
Yeah, it was when we were growing up. It was you drove through Wintersville, Steubenville, just to see who you were passing, driving, and if you, heaven forbid, if you stopped in a parking lot and like more than 6 people gathered up, then the cops come in and told you got to keep moving. So it was just nothing to do. That was the thing,
and one of the big hangouts was Janimores, and now they're gone.
Yeah, and I've said
I never got to have that.
Oh, you missed out.
I bring up Janimores every time everybody talks about pizza. I'm like, it ain't Janimores.
No,
it's
right.
not Janimores. So
well, now the fact that everywhere is closed by 9:00.
Yeah.
So you can't even get pizza at midnight anymore. 1:00.
Yeah, there's
COVID really changed operating hours, especially too for like entertainment. Like what used to be like say midnight to, or like say 11 to 2 shows are now the 7 to 10s, 8 to 11 at the latest.
And one of the big things too was sled riding. Jeff Tech was real big for us for sled riding as kids.
Oh man,
we had a blast. And then they shut that down for the kids. Because I'm sure somebody sued or tried to sue.
I haven't been to Seven Ranges yet. I heard it's beautiful. Heard the food was pretty good, but I haven't been there.
Yeah, food's good. Food is good there. Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, that's the biggest gripe. And I've said it on the show before, is the fact that it's frustrating coming from Jefferson County when you see Weirton thriving, you see St. Clairsville building up, you see everybody around Jefferson County building up, and they're just stagnant unless the university has their hands in it.
Yeah, that's been one of the biggest things. One of the biggest complaints that I've heard from people talking out in the community, just the way that things have gone downhill, and there's nothing to do.
Right.
So,
and it makes you, like I said, as growing up, this. So when we grew up there, we both left. We went to college. I went to the military. But it's just sad that years later you come back and you see, and it's still, it's so frustrating to be from there and see, like I said, everybody thriving. Like Weirton is throwing up new businesses, everything else, and Steubenville, Wintersville, but just Jefferson County in itself is like, it's just stuck in the mud, and it's frustrating. So when you told me that you were going to run for county commissioner, I really, not, like I said, not because you've been my best friend forever, but I'm legitimately happy that somebody wants to get in there and try and make a difference.
Well, and the biggest thing is I don't have a hand in it. I don't own a business. My friends don't own businesses. I'm doing it because for the right reason. I want to help the people of Jefferson County, period, at the end. Everybody, not just one group of people, but the whole county.
Now,
is this your first time running? Sorry, if you're running for a position?
It is my first time running. Yeah, exactly.
So as you've been campaigning, and you said that people have come up to you about, but what's the biggest thing that everybody's like, hey, if you get in there, what's the one thing that you really want to make a difference at?
Well, and it's been different with every person I've talked to. So some people are talking, the water rates, the water and sewage county rates. They raise the water and sewage rates 3% every year for the next 6 years. And the majority of the people that affected, they weren't even aware that that was coming down the pipe. So they not only did they raise your rates, but they lowered your usage. So it went from 3,000 gallons down to 2,000, and then they raised your rates 3%. Yeah. So people that are on a fixed income,
Right.
or have a lot of kids, you're paying a ton. Like the one guy that we talked to at the fairgrounds, he looked at me, he's like, we were talking, and he says, I wondered why my water bill was so high. I said, yeah, because it just raised your rates. I said, and they never bothered to let anybody know for sure that was happening.
It never was a ballot issue.
No. They just voted on it and passed it on. The commissioners. Yeah.
Oh.
And the one, Bo Graham, who was a commissioner at that time, he was the only one that shot it down. And then the two other gentlemen that were in there pushed it through.
Man. Yeah, it's and the thing is with Jefferson County, and that's why it's mind-boggling. Like, all big industry is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the Walmart distribution center. But I mean, other than that, it's, you have guys that are fortunate to work oil and gas, and even down this way a little bit in coal mine and stuff. But the steel mills are gone. I mean, and really gone now. I mean, especially what was it, Cleveland
Cleveland Cliffs.
Cleveland Cliffs just closed up, but still, again, that's West Virginia. But
yeah. Well, but here's the thing, though, and just like I said about with all the businesses in West Virginia, the majority of the people that work over there now are from Jefferson County,
right.
because there's not a lot of opportunity in Jefferson County. And that's up and down the river. You're talking Tiltonsville. You look at all the
Right.
empty buildings.
Yeah.
From the mills that shut down, all up and down the river. When we were kids, my dad worked at Wheeling Pit.
Yeah, mine worked at Weirton.
Yeah. So I mean,
Mine was in Yorkville plant.
you're talking 40,000 plus employees, that just kept this valley just booming.
Right.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, like you said, bam, it's gone. There's nothing.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's sad. And what's funny is I remember hearing, and I know your parents did the same, was, when they were growing up, they talk about that they catch the bus in Wintersville and they go downtown Steubenville, spend the day. It was thrive, and you just can't wrap your head around it. And now we're looking at it going, well, we get dropped off at the mall and your parents hand you $6. You went and saw a movie, got something at the potato patch, and even went to Aladdin's castle.
Yeah, right.
For the whole day.
Yeah, right. And play video games, right?
Did video game, whatever, and it was just, and that's gone. So
Well, and that's one of the biggest issues too. I mean, you look at the mall; it's just
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
dilapidated so bad. I mean, the movie theater shut down. There's no way it's ever going to reopen.
right,
So if you want to watch a movie, you got to go to Pittsburgh or down to St. Clairsville.
right. Yeah, I had tossed around the idea. It was right after I retired when the mall was running a thing that if you went in silently, you didn't have rent for like the first 2 or 3 months, but the only thing that was open because of what I wanted to do was the same thing I wanted to do to the food truck, but the only place that I could go was the old pizza place. It was almost right there on the corner.
Yeah.
But it was like I had to gut it, like do everything from scratch, and then even then the rent was, and I was like, it's just not feasible
that's why
because
they
nobody
left.
goes there.
That's why Sabaros left. They went
Yeah.
downtown, or because of the same reason. The rent was just so high.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, it's good to see, but then again, like it's good to see like 4th Street and everything is starting to come up. But again, there's a guy that was doing stuff on his own to really build up downtown, and they gave him a hard time.
Man.
I mean, every time he turned around, it was somebody, like having their hand, hey, you got to do that, or we're gonna have to stop you because you didn't do this, or you didn't. I mean, the place.
Well, and that was one of the big things, we wanted to get back to the place where what can I do to bring your business back to Jefferson County? Not what can you do? Can I do? Bring me the money so I can help you get in here.
Right.
It needs to be back that way again. What can I do to bring your business to Jefferson County?
Right.
That's what I want to get to. I want to get back to businesses trying to come in here, and
Yeah.
if we got to give them a tax break for a couple of years to get them in here, to get them set up and situated, absolutely.
I
think that's the greatest thing in the world.
I can't believe that people were opposed to that. They were like, well, you give them a tax break and they don't have to contribute. No, get them in, get established.
Right.
And if they leave after that and they come in and they redid a building or build a building, it's easier to fill that up than have somebody come in and build new again.
Right.
But you got to just gradually let them get established, because it's not like downtown Pittsburgh. It's not. I mean, now even downtown Wheeling that they've started.
It's just like any town in every other county has at least a little strip that everybody's in agreement, like that's being worked on to like better the community. But
Yeah.
you don't really see that
No.
anywhere else.
And I think the other thing, and we talked about this off camera, is I know a lot of people, including myself, that we live in Jefferson County, that is frustrating is it's like everything is clouded in secrecy.
Oh,
And
exactly.
They need, and we talked about this, that was another thing that you were going for, is the transparency to say, hey, this is what's going on. Like, let the people know, like you said, there's that, well, we're going to raise this water rate, and we're not going to tell anybody. We're not going to put it on the news. We're not going to do it. And then people just get, shot.
Blindsided.
Yeah.
Right.
So I know that's a frustrating thing that there's, you hear that. I've heard that for years, even when I wasn't living here, when I was on active duty. You just hear that, there's all these. Now, whether there's any validity to it, I don't know. But, the rumor mill is strong in Jefferson County. But there was too many times where businesses wanted to come in and then ended up not, because they were like, well, you got to pay us just to give us your idea.
Right.
Now, whether that's true or not, even the fact that if that rumor's out there, that's terrible.
Yeah. Well, and the bad thing about it is when you hear stories like that over and over again, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the majority of it, I'm sure there's some truth to it, but yeah. So it's just, and the biggest thing is just like with the secrecy around the EGCC thing, one day, oh yeah, they embezzled, they're shutting down. Where's the rest of the story?
Right.
Where's the rest of the story? I talked to a gentleman. There's $1.5 million sitting in a scholarship fund at EGCC.
Now, what happened? What is that? What happened with that?
So EGC shut down because they embezzled money,
Okay.
funds, so they didn't have funds to run the college anymore. So,
Okay.
So now you got what was it, the Horizon Grant, that kids in Jefferson County could go to EGCC for free.
Okay.
That was one of the biggest things, and that's why they wanted to keep it a community college, and that was the reason for that Horizon Grant. So now you have $1.5 million that's sitting in a fund for those kids to go to school for free, and they shut down the school. Plus, the people of Jefferson County are paying taxes on the levy to keep that building running.
Right.
So now you're shutting it down, and like Scott said, where's the transparency? What's going to happen to that levy? What's going to happen to them funds?
Yeah.
Everybody keeps talking about Youngstown State. Well, yes, are they coming? No one's really talking to say for sure if they're coming. And they wanted to, and rumor, once again, we'll go to rumor, that they want to let that building be tore down and sell that property off, even though that's county property, and to have it developed. Now, that, like I said, that's a rumor that we've heard.
Right.
But
I don't know the validity to it.
What?
Right. I know, right. Because it's prime location, prime real estate.
It would be great if it was thriving. Then you could say it's prime real estate.
Right.
Who's going to come in there?
Right. I don't know. And see, that's what I said. It's speculation at this point, but we've heard it from several people.
And look how many kids that affected, like you said.
Oh, right.
You had kids that are graduating going, well, I know I can go to EGCC for 2 years, get my undergrad for free.
Right.
Save some money, go on to get my bachelor's.
Which was a fantastic program.
Absolutely. So now you just
Yeah.
And that's why there's again where I laugh when everybody's like, "Oh, we're about the youth." No, you're not.
No,
you're not. You haven't been about the youth.
No.
And it's so frustrating, and it's And the other thing
But
is too,
there's still money in that fund. That's just
Right.
Yeah.
right. So there's money still in this
Somewhere.
fund.
Yeah.
They're talking about tearing down the building, turning over that property for some profit, and they're discussing all this stuff. But there's still that money in there. That has anybody come forth and like an idea of like what we could do with it to
Well, like
maybe
I said,
maybe a scholarship
they
for
were
another
talking
college
about
or something.
Youngstown State coming in.
Okay, yeah.
But like I said, when Youngstown State, if a college comes in like Youngstown State, that grant money's gone. So
Right.
you're starting from
Yeah.
scratch, and a lot of those classes that the kids that took at EGCC, they don't transfer to Youngstown State,
Okay.
which is even
right? Yeah, I did. I did know that there was a lot of, because Sydney did that when she was at Big Red, that's fantastic. Big Red is, and I think Indian Creek does the same
Yeah,
thing.
right.
You can take college classes
Yep.
during your junior and senior year,
yeah,
and
I
then
forget what that was called for Ferry too.
yeah,
you
and
get
graduate
your-
with
yeah.
an associate.
associates, absolutely.
And with the same time you graduate high school, which that's fantastic. But Sid found out that the classes that she took when she went off to college, they didn't accept probably 3/4 of them.
Yeah, right.
So he was kind of like, "Oh yeah, that's great," and then it doesn't, and you're like, "Well, that was." It's just, I don't know. It's just, and the other thing is too is, and again, I'm claiming ignorance on this. Why wouldn't you use that grant and work something out with the university? Why can't you tell Franciscan, hey, if you start out, even if you even made it like a handful of like associate programs with those kids could go to there. I mean, you like business, biology, something that if they're going to transfer to a 4-year, that they could get that and still.
Right.
There's another caveat we could go off of, just the scam of colleges. I mean, like I said, I currently went back to school and I had to retake statistics because they told me it was too long since you last took it. It's still
statistics.
it's still numbers. I'm still
Right, yeah.
adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. I mean, I could see if it was a pharmacology class or something, but math and science are pretty much, I mean, unless it's, breakthrough science, but I mean, I was like, okay. Which, I mean, I'm going to go for cybersecurity, and a lot of the AI is built on statistical analysis, which, okay, when I realized that, and I was like, okay, I need the refresher, and I'm glad I took it, but still, how many kids do that? They were like, oh, I want to take, well, that introduction to archaeology in Egypt in 1800s doesn't transfer for the archaeology in Egypt in the 1900s. So you're gonna have to take it all over again.
Yeah.
It's a scam. But that's a whole nother show.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by our new sponsor, Rich Investments Group. Rich Investments Group is a real estate investment firm with a mission of providing quality housing for our community. Rich Investments Group proudly offers a rent-to-own program, assisting tenants to one day become homeowners themselves. Veterans are urged to reach out to them so they can support them in finding their dream home.
I know you're big with the 4-H groups in the fair.
Yes.
Nice. I'm
how,
a 4-H'er
Absolutely.
myself.
Oh yeah. So both our daughters. My wife was a 4-H'er for many years. Her mom and dad were advisors. She was an advisor. I was an advisor for a little while. Love 4-H, man. It's a great program. The kids, the fair, those kids at the fair do such a great job. I mean, just you can tell the ones that really take pride in their animals and raising their animals, and it's really a good program.
And a lot of people don't talk to. It's like you see the active programs in 4-H, like the raising of the animals, like the shooting sports and stuff. But
Yeah.
there's so many programs where like the project would be just taking on a new skill and learning it over the course of a year. There's so many kids that will like pick up like a musical instrument, and you can make that a 4-H project through the whole year of like recording your progression stuff. You don't really see that unless you're in like those they call maybe still booth areas, or you see those.
Well, and the girls, I mean, they went and traveled. They went to space camp every year. I mean, they went and which was nice because they actually went there for a week, 4-H camp, got them away from the house and being, on their own, away from the family. So when they transitioned to go to school, they weren't as homesick because they've already been away from us, which is a big deal. I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, my first roommate in college, He lasted 2 weeks because he was homesick. He'd never been away from home.
Yeah.
That was his first time. He was from Florida.
Yeah.
He lasted 2 weeks and was gone.
Man. But you had said, like, when I asked you, you said that a lot of concerns are from different people throughout Jefferson County. But as far as, and I know that you and your wife Barb and her family and everybody has been involved in 4-H, what do you hear from like that aspect, like the farmers of Jefferson County and 4-H? Like, what are their concerns that they've come to you and said, hey, Todd, if you get in there, can you look into this?
Well, the biggest thing is the fair.
Yeah.
That's the biggest complaint that I've heard. From the time, and that's what they say. The majority of the people that we run into, they were 4-Hers, and now their kids are back in 4-H, and that's their biggest complaint.
No, I would imagine, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Again, I'm going to claim ignorance. The majority of Jefferson County Fair is what happens on the back half of the property with the 4-H kids and all the livestock, because for years, the front part of it where, kids are coming to ride and it's shady.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's shady at the very best.
Oh, there's a divide. I mean, it's a lot of county fairs I go to are like
Yeah.
the same trail, but especially Jefferson, like there's that divide between the farmers and I guess the way like the county's set up too, it's the same way. But there is definitely a divide between like the area of rides and attractions and the area of the farmers out.
I mean, like I said, growing up, we couldn't, like, when the fair, it was huge.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
wait to go to the fair.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing too. You got to look at, and I don't disagree, because it was the fair when we were growing up was fantastic. We until we got into football, and then
And we were still there.
Yeah.
The football team was there. I mean,
Right.
they had football teams doing stuff. They were there, and I think they still do the cheerleading competition.
the
But the
cheerleading.
football players were all there, and it was packed.
Right.
It was always packed.
Yeah.
And now, like, I saw Jefferson County, it was like, I think it was $15 just to get in.
yeah.
For
And
what?
Well, it was $15, and that's what I didn't realize the gate price was $15 this year. And then somebody comes along and says, "Hey, it only cost me $12 to get into the Ohio State Fair."
Yeah.
And
Wow.
yeah, and they have such a beautiful place to have that fair out there.
It is.
It's a great location. The lake itself is amazing. That lake is beautiful.
Yeah.
And just driving in, yeah, and that was one of the things I said in my Facebook post, that I wanted to look into helping get that fair back to where it was when we were kids.
Yeah.
Because it was it was just always packed, like you said. Every year we went out there, you couldn't walk across there.
Especially before Belmont County moved to the Carnes. Before they did that, like growing up outside of 4-H, you would look at those both affairs and you'd be like, when they had Belmont in the town, you'd be like, why would you even go there? Like when Jefferson existed and it was when it was thriving.
It's just, and again, and I thank you and your wife Barb and your in-laws, because it was when the girls were little, and we come home the one time because I was playing in my dad's band. We were playing at the fair, met up with you, and I had never walked back there and it's beautiful back there. And the kid, like you said, it's just amazing. You see these kids that grow, and it's not like their parents are doing the hogs or the cattle. These kids work at this all year long, and it's just
It's definitely a family affair.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about that. But yeah, you can tell how much they love their animals. And matter of fact, we bought a couple animals this year, and one of the young girls that we bought the goose from was crying because we were taking her goose, and the goose came home. So we have a pet goose now. Goose Willis is his name. So she was excited the fact that we didn't kill her goose. So
so Goose Willis wasn't going to go and die hard.
no, right? Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Which is nice because Taylor, when she was in 4-H, she had a goat,
Yeah.
and a gentleman bought her goat, and he lived a long and happy life on his farm.
Yeah.
So we just repaid the favor.
Yeah.
So
And
it was nice.
I couldn't imagine. That puts those kids at a whole other level, because I know if you're raising an animal and then somebody's going to buy that animal and immediately take it to slaughter,
Well,
that's got to rip your heart
with
out.
the fair, a lot of times, especially if you were a kid that was like junior, senior, raising money for college,
Yeah.
you have these gas and oil companies that will buy these animals for sponsorship. Normally, like the top placing, say like cattle, those companies will buy that cattle for tens of thousands more dollars than they're worth and just give it right back to the kid. They just want that sponsorship.
Wow.
And like that's why I tell people, I'm like, if you got land, you're saving up for college or something. If you place high, like your like dairy cow or beef cow, like they place high, you get the sponsorship money. That's why it's so important to keep the fairs thriving.
Now you did that, right? You sponsored
Yeah, we
pig,
did.
right?
Yeah, a pig. Yep, we did. And for the same reason, it was just giving back to the kids in the fair.
Well, I had to
They've supported our kids for like I said, 18 years. So.
Yeah.
on his Facebook page, he was like, "Oh yeah," or it was a 4-H page. They were like, "Hey, we want to thank Todd. He bought this pig
Yeah.
for $35 a pound." And I texted him, I'm like, "If you're spending $35 a pound on pork, I need to be your finance guy."
Yeah.
That's when he's like, "No, it's a sponsorship. This is what we do."
That's what it is.
And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's awesome." I was like, because we need to work on it.
Yeah.
I was like, I got a whole tenderloin in my. It's only $130 a pound, and
Right.
I'll sell it to you for a discount.
And to be honest with you, when we did that, I have never seen prices at a fair for the rest of the day that high. And I'm going to attribute to the fact that we started it off right.
Good,
Right.
We
yeah.
started the fair off right, and I think everybody just followed suit.
That's good.
It's fantastic.
The
Again,
pace that you set.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's true or not, but just from being there and witnessing for years our daughter showing and selling pigs and lambs, and just seeing that progress the rest of the day it was nice.
I wanted to say too, like a little disclaimer for this episode too, because we caught flack when we had Johnny Hott on, and it was like he's an athlete of the Ohio Valley who was our friend who came on, same as you, just decided I'm going to run for a position and just talked about it with us. And we were talking about it last night. I'm like, I'm kind of like the face of the podcast. So, and I try to make it myself as neutral and like devil's advocate as possible. That way, like we're never like labeled. We'll have both sides of the political spectrum on. And also said like, you're not a guy solely into politics that hit us up, said, come on, you're our friend that has supported us.
Right.
So naturally we're going to have you on, same way with Johnny.
Yeah.
Just wanted to throw that out to like these, any politicians that want to say, I'll come on and like have a commercial as well. It's like, well, if you come on, we got to like have an episode where we get to know you or something.
Yeah, exactly.
We might
And
just
like I
not
said,
decide
I said, we've known each other our entire lives, but just tell the listeners, a little bit about Todd from Wintersville, like where, I know where you grew up, but they might not know where you grew up, where you went to school, where you went to college, and,
So, okay, little history.
Yeah.
Grew up in Wintersville, graduated from Wintersville High School in 1992. From there, I went to Fork Union Military Academy. So I'm not sure if too many people are familiar with that, but Eddie George was there the same year that I was down there. So I played against Eddie George at Fork Union. So there's some big name people to come out of Fork Union Military Academy. From there, I went to Austin Peay State University, where I got a scholarship to play football and go to school. So I know a lot of people say you go to school, but when you're on an athletic scholarship, you're there to play a sport.
yeah, right.
So, and that's what they said, you went to school for free. Well, by the time I figured it out, it was a penny a day. What I got for my how many hours I spent in the on the field, in the study halls.
Yeah, because you get
film session.
You got to be at the gym. You got to be here. You got to be eat. This is when you eat. This is when you study. This is when you go to bed. This is when you get up. This is where you go to practice. This is so it's not.
No, it wasn't. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I still enjoyed myself, but I ended up with a degree in history and political science, and I was heading toward the DEA. That was my desired route. And then mom and future wife weren't happy with the fact that I was going to get shot at, and because that was Miami Vice was popular when we were growing up.
Right.
Hey, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Down in Miami, drug smugglers.
Yeah.
And so I got steered away from there and came back home. And when we first moved home, I started working at Danoon Lumber I was out there for a year, and then I got into Time Met, and then I spent 22 years at Time Met, and during that time, I also coached football and track out at Indian Creek. So, and then from Time Met, transferred over to Cleveland Cliffs, and that's where I'm at right now. So I'm still in the valley.
Yeah.
Still in the valley, still working.
Yeah, like I said, I know you were coaching high school track. I was coaching in junior high at the time. We played football together, literally like 2 doors apart from each other.
Okay.
So I know your whole story, and but I don't know any of your secrets. So if anybody tries to come at me with, blackmail money, I don't know anything. So, but no, it's like I said, it's good to see. It's good to see you running for this, because, like I said, I know it's just not, you're not doing it just to say, oh, I'm a county commissioner. I know you, and in your heart, you want to change things, and you're going to make it transparent. And there's a lot of people that are afraid by that they want to keep things quiet. And it's just, I'm glad that we could get you on and you could get your voice out here, and people know that you are a true hometown guy. And like I said, it means a lot because, like you said, you went to college, you come back home. Yeah. I did 21 years of military, and I come back home because we love it here.
There's no place like home.
We want to see it thrive, and just to see that it's not, it's frustrating. So,
well, especially now when you look around, you got a brand new high school in Toronto. You got an updated school in Steubenville. You got a brand new school at Wintersville. Mm-hmm. I mean,
and Edison.
Yeah, right. Edison's doing upgrades.
Yeah,
absolutely. It looks beautiful out there, right?
Yeah.
So when I was at Time Met, there was a company that came in and they wanted to look at the schools at the time. So the gentleman told me that they drove in around Indian Creek High School and said, okay, we'll see you later. And that was one of the reasons they didn't bring their business. Now, this is, 14 years ago,
right,
that this happened. But I get it. At the time, the school was dilapidated. Mm-hmm. We had those portables outside, which were only supposed to be temporary.
In the 60s.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And we're still there when our kids graduated.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Once they saw that, they were like, we're out. And so now that they got the new schools, hopefully we can reach out to some of these businesses and get some more jobs back in this area.
Yeah, because there's I know it's tough everywhere trying to find workers, but and Jake knows this, he grew up in this area, but there's a lot of, hard workers in this area that just have nothing.
No, right.
Or you'll get a job and they'll pay you like,
well, and that's the thing.
Menial.
There's no, there's jobs, mm-hmm. but are you really going to raise a family on, $10, $12 an hour? You can, but you're going to struggle.
Oh, even now, like you'll see places. Oh, we require a bachelor's, would like to see you have a master's.
Right.
And we're going to pay you $13 an hour.
Yeah. Right.
I can make 15 at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
And I get every Sunday off.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's like
free fried chicken.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
It's mind blowing. It's just like, oh yeah, we want you to have these years of experience. We want you to have all this education, but we can't really pay you. And it's, like I said, when I ran the OR at East Ohio, they were like, hey, listen, we're just starting out. This is what your salary is going to be. But as soon as we're up and we're running, we'll give you what you're worth. Okay, well, we're up and running. Hey, what about, we're doing away with your position.
Right.
Oh, and because you questioned that we haven't paid any bills, but that's another podcast, but I digress. But
well, and the good thing is, and the majority of the people that I talk to, like out at the fair, are from, Adena, Tiltonsville, mm-hmm. Rayland, Irondale. We live in Bloomingdale, mm-hmm. which is, actually we live right outside of Richmond, but we have a Bloomingdale address. I'm not engulfed in Steubenville.
Right.
I don't live in Country Club or, right. I grew up in Wintersville, but I love being in the country.
Right.
So I feel the pain of some of the country people and what mm-hmm. they're going through because we live out that way as well. Their roads aren't paved, they're paved, or not paved, but plowed in the winter. They're the last ones to get their roads plowed because they're out. You know, I understand that kind of stuff, and it is frustrating. It was frustrating for us.
Yeah.
You know, and the biggest thing is just like when I started coaching football. You know, we came back home, me and Barb's in the stands. I'm bitching about the play calling, and she's like, "Okay, you think you can do better? Go coach." So I did.
Yeah.
You know, for the 9 season that I was coached, that I helped coach, we went to the playoffs 7 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, same thing with this. We're sitting around a table. I can bitch like everybody else about the situation, or I could step up and try to make a
Oh,
difference.
you're right. You're absolutely right.
And that's what I'm hoping I get a chance to do. And that's what I want is a chance.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm going to be as transparent as I can. You know, because here's the thing: the county commissioners, their meetings are every Thursday at 9:00. So the transcripts from those meetings are available to anybody
Okay.
if they want to read them. But how many people do that?
Right.
Right.
You know. But if
And at
somebody
9
comes,
o'clock, how many people are going to go to those meetings?
exactly, because the majority of people, you're either working. If you're working night, you're not going to get up and go to sit at the county commissioners meeting.
Right.
Or if you have like a really bad gripe and want to go to there, you probably don't even realize that you probably have to be on that transcript to even say anything. So you might show up and be like that.
You know, and that's the
might be
thing,
next one.
and that's the other thing too. And I'm sure the county commissioners get emails and letters, and that's the one thing I said. There's 2 things I'll promise you. I promise you, if you call me, I'll call you back, and I promise you, I'll do everything I can within the power of the law to help you.
Right.
Those are the 2 things I'm going to promise.
Yeah.
Other than that, I can't promise you anything. I could look into things, but it has to be by the law.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I fully believe that you'll do that. And when you say that you'll call people back, you'll do that. I mean, I know sincerely, and like I said, because I've known you forever, and yeah, I'm biased. I don't care, but
That's what I told you last night. One of us has to be
Yeah.
the blank face. That'll be me. That'll be me.
But no, like, and that's like Jake said, you know, you supported 2x4s, you supported
Right, yeah.
our podcast, you've done everything, and that's why I said, you know, I want to get you in here because I mean, you're huge support to us. You have been even before you even considered running. But it's
I mean, who doesn't love karaoke? Come on.
all right. Well, there's a lot of people that don't love some of the people that do care.
Right.
Yeah, no, right, yeah.
But no, and that's I appreciate it, and I'm glad that we were able to get you in, and we'll try and get you in on one of the sports episodes when we start talking about
Oh,
high
yeah.
school football,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
college
Take out the
football, and-
backdrop. Just have a bunch of people arguing.
yeah, we have.
Yeah, yeah,
What
no, yeah, that's great.
How many Warren Township concerts did you hit up? Because I saw you at 2.
I think we were the majority of them. We were
Majority. What
yeah.
would be your favorite this year?
Favorite overall?
Yeah.
We went and seen Bon Journey.
Oh, they were down there.
They weren't down there. They were in Steubenville.
Oh, okay. I was going to say they were Warren Township.
yeah, I tell you what.
Okay,
they
yeah.
were really good.
That's
Yeah.
our good friend Bobby Pizzarato
Pizza
Oh,
for
yeah.
Russell.
singing
Yeah.
for Bon Journey. So
Yeah.
And he told his story. You know, a year ago he was sitting in the audience, and now he's singing for them.
Yeah.
guys.
yeah, that's what he when he come down and did our podcast. That he was just like, you know, he was just, and they were like, hey, you know, he was doing a solo gig.
Yeah,
They
he
were
said like we can't find a bass player that hits those high notes like you can.
Yeah.
That's what he said. Yeah.
And then he started playing bass, and then they got a bass player, and now he's
Yeah, I mean, they
he's
were
singing
fantastic.
it. So it's funny, but again, there's the Ohio Valley right there. It's such a small. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a big area, but there's so
Oh,
many
yeah.
people that are
And there's
connected.
So many talented singers. It's unbelievable in the area. I mean, it's crazy. That trio, Ronnie. What's the trio? There's a
Ron
Ron
Retzer
Retzer
trio.
trio.
Yeah.
sir.
Holy,
Yeah.
that was my favorite.
Retzer.
Yeah, because I mean the harmonies those guys have it's just
Yeah.
incredible.
And I think I don't know if they're from Ohio or if they're from West Virginia. Spinning Jenny.
Okay.
So they're from Steubenville area.
Are
I
they?
believe. Yeah.
That's another fantastic
Yeah.
group that just they're all talented.
3 girls.
Three
and their
girls
dad.
and their dad. Yeah. So
Yeah, so everybody like always says like, isn't it so weird that their dad like plays with them? I'm like, listen, if Layla said, Dad, I want to be in a band, would you be the guitar player? I don't care if I'm in a world traveling band. I'll be like, guys, I'm out. Like, I have a new gig. I'm done. I'm
and that's
cool.
the thing. Like I said, for years I played in that folk band with my dad and God rest his soul, Gary McClish, and we started out, and again, was not my type of music
Right.
at all. But
Yeah.
you get to jam with I got to jam with my old man, and it's just, I know he was happy about it. I was happy about it. But I think you might have to go, you might be here shortly. You might have to go on a cover band tour of Megan Moronia's.
Yeah, she's got that album down, and I'm about sick of it. Kaylee said Kelsey Ballerini might have a new album coming out soon, and then we'll make that switch.
It was funny because as we had the girls tonight, and we're driving from our house to here, and you hear Layla just, belting it out, singing about sipping whiskey.
Yeah,
but she just in it. I'm all
it.
about it. It's great. But
guys, that's a solid hour, solid 50 minutes.
Well, we got to ask him the one question we ask everybody.
Oh yeah,
where? And we're gonna put you on the spot.
Okay.
We'll stick to Jefferson County.
Yeah, Jefferson County. Your favorite place to go eat?
Oh, Della's.
Okay.
Didn't
even think about
Wrong. It's a farm restaurant and pub.
Yeah, I mean that's hands down.
I haven't been to Abdella's in forever, but okay.
Well, and let me one other thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Say, somebody said to us, you're only going to the concerts down here in Tiltonsville and Rayland and Steubenville because you're running. I said, we've been in 4-H forever. Do you know how many, river sweeps, picking up garbage, spaghetti dinners, chicken dinners?
Right.
We've done that for years.
Right.
How many times have you supported us at the Black Sheep, and that's Jefferson County too? I mean, anytime. Yeah.
I mean, that's an hour from us. We would come down and walk.
Yeah, every time. If it's 2x4s or I was playing with Matt or whatever, and it's not like you and Barb show up. You bring
people,
8-10 people
because
with
it's
you
a
every
phenomenal time.
Yeah.
Just like when you guys were playing up in Pittsburgh with Matt.
Yeah, to keep Cowboy.
Yeah, you
we
got
went up there.
10 people there. I mean, you
And I had to walk forever. And then to give a little story, we get to the front door and, my lovely wife didn't bring her ID. So then I had to walk back another 5 miles, get her ID, and then walk back again. So it was a fun evening of walking.
Yeah, hopefully she rubbed your feet when you guys got
No,
home. So.
she didn't. But that's all right.
Okay, so let's go back one more question.
Sure.
Not current place. If they're past, present, whatever, where was your favorite place to eat?
Oh, let's see. Oh, Janimores.
Yeah.
That was.
What was that place in Belair Silk said that the closest he's found Jan Moore's?
Oh, it was out in Caddis. It was if you go underneath 22, as soon as you go underneath the instead of turning left to get back up on 22, like you're going to go back onto 250. As soon as you go on the left, there was a place in there. I forget the pizza place. He said it is as close to Jan Moore's as you can get. So,
JP's. Is it JP's out in Caddis? I think it might be the name.
I don't know.
I thought he told us once there was a Blair one too. It wasn't 24/7. I'm not sure.
I don't remember. He might have. I don't remember. But
well, I mean, you think about it at the time. We, like you said, when we were growing up, you had DeCarlos, you had Ray's, you had Janimores. Any three of them were good.
right.
If you called Janimores and said, "Hey, it's 45 minutes or an hour," you go and call Ray's.
Yeah.
Hey, Ray's is 10 minutes. Okay, we'll order from Ray's.
Well, the other thing was too is it was right across the high school. How many times have we left the junior high or the high school, went down there, it was a quarter a slice.
Yep. Grab a piece of pizza and come back.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's like the townhouse, and what's the other one in Mingo?
Oh, Hillsboro.
Hillsboro. Yeah, you give one usually like if it's after a football game, you'll hit up the
that's the other
townhouse
thing too. When you sit and actually think about the restaurants, Hillsboro's has some amazing wings.
They do.
Amazing wings.
They're I forget what it was called. Their hottest ones. It was named after the guy from U.S. Kids. Anyway, I used to eat them like religiously. Then after I went through treatment, I can't handle them anymore. But I remember that the waitress that has been there forever. She's like, I can't believe you put those down. She goes, those are insanely hot. And I'm like, yeah.
Well, speaking of that,
Oh, you're fine.
Happy's over in Weird. You remember Happy's
Oh,
over
yeah.
Weird? So we went there one year for a Christmas party.
I did the challenge.
The atomic wings. Oh, the kid that had them, his lips swelled so bad. I never in my life I've ever seen that before in my life. His lips swelled so bad he couldn't do anything the rest of the evening. He was in so much pain. I'm like, To get a shirt, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll pass.
Well, the thing was, is I did it, and you know how I was, you know, the height that I am now, but I was like 160 pounds in high school.
Uh-huh.
And I went over and I did that, and the only shirts that they had left were 3XLs. We're like, do you still want the shirt? You do.
Yeah, right.
I think it basically come out as like, hey, yeah.
All right, guys.
right.
I told my wife before I started this podcast, anytime I've ever had two guests come on at the same time that have grown up with each other, usually about when you hit 50 minutes, you start going down memory lane, and then it becomes relevant to less and less and less people. So this is the perfect time. Yeah, I remember one time my cousin Robert was in here going, "You remember Mrs. So-and-so in social studies?" And they're like, "Robert, nobody's going to know."